Hi, Mr. Jeff Africa here. Okay, now listen to this. I am the unique spirit of love and light that shine from within. I honor the place within me in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place within me which is of love, of light, of truth, and of peace. I acknowledge all my special gifts, strengths, blessings, and talents, and I now humbly bestow them on the world around me. I harmonize and synchronize the right and left hemispheres of my brain. I'm a source for divine inspiration. I call on my higher self for sacred transformation. I am now tuned with my higher self. I step back and let my higher self lead the way. I trust the guidance my high self gives to me. I trust that my highest good is now unfolding. I am now intuitive, imaginative, and insightful. I am love. I am light. I am joy. I am love. I am light. I am joy. I am love. I am light. I am joy. Okay, that was something I picked up on YouTube, a transmission from one of the beings, the Galactic Federation beings, I think Arcturians or something like that. Wrote that down, felt that was a very, very crucial thing to do. Interesting that we have the entire universe within us. That's what makes it a holographic universe. We're all small versions of the universe, all within us. Amazing, huh? This is a matter of creation too. When I say I'm imaginative, intuitive, and insightful, I'm creating those aspects, bringing those aspects forward. You know, when you seem dull-witted, like I've been in the past, for the most part, or seemingly, you think, God, I wish I was more insightful. I wish I had more. We can be, okay? We not only can create the outer circumstances of a happy life that we want, you know, which is a job we want, the money we want, the spouse, you know, all those kids, whatever it is. But we also create ourselves with qualities too. You know, to say I'm intuitive, insightful, and imaginative, which start to bring out those qualities more and more when you say that. So we can not only create the outer world, we also can continually create ourselves in saying these sorts of things. And that's just something to keep in mind, you know. That's probably what's most important. So I'm creating myself in the future to be more intuitive, insightful, and imaginative, which is something that we all value very, very much. Okay, now we're taking a look here. We're going to continue to take a look around and see if the things I've been saying, and this is a continuation from the last video, are true. How true are they? You know, are they really true? Somewhat true? Do people seem not to understand what? There are a lot of people who don't understand what the hell I'm saying. So that's what we're in the middle of doing. We're going to take a look at everyday occurrences right now. But let's take a look at relook at Steve Jobs for a minute. It was interesting to brush up against that guy. You know, I got to say, and I always considered him a national treasure. But I also considered him part of the problem too, the egoic nature of him. He was like an enfant terrible, you know, as the French would say, enfant terrible. Terrible infant, really. He is extremely egoic, you know, and I consider that part of the human problem, of the human condition. You know, he didn't really know, you could tell that he didn't know friendship, you know, there's no sense in trying to ever become that guy's friend, because there'd always be a time when you let him down and he didn't do something, he blah blah, and then you'd be out. You know, you'd no longer be his friend, kind of a thing. You know, who wants that? You know, I concluded there's nothing he has that I particularly want, really. You know, I'm just not interested in ego. You know, I'm sick and tired of ego and people behaving in egoic ways, you know, and it's all boring to me, and I want something more than that. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda, Joshua Ben Joseph, and others, they have things I want, okay? They have things I want. I want more than this human ego. And he was just an exemplary human being in a lot of ways, but a total human egoic mind, you know? And, you know, so that's my take on him was. He's a national treasure, but he's also part of the problem. And he had nothing I wanted from him, basically. You know, it's nice to brush up against him, though. Interesting character. You got to, like I say, you got to give him a lot of props for what he did. Okay, so here we go. Grocery shopping. When I go to a grocery store, I enter it, I am the only person really looking around, looking at every face I go by, I look at. You know, I know every face in that store. A couple other things too. Let me say it really quickly right here. I feel as though when I'm out in public in a lot of ways, especially at stores or shopping, I'm a bit out of phase with everything else that's going on. I'm a bit out of phase with this 3D reality, really. You know, I'm almost as if, you know, on Christmas Carol when they're taking Scrooge around and they were there, but they were watching, but no one knew they were there. They're seeing, you know, because they were out of phase. You know, they weren't supposed to be seen. I feel, it's not that dramatic, but I feel sort of that way, that I'm out of phase with this 3D reality, which is a good thing for me. I know that I'm the only one that's taking a look around and seeing every face, being there for every person I go by, I check out. Everybody else is walking around like this. You know, like they're in their own little world. You know what I mean? But I see everything in that store. I'm the only one kind of alive, looking around in that sense. Another thing I've noticed, and I think I'm more aware of than ever before, is that the energy I cast, the energy field I'm casting now. When I'm in a certain situation, that situation is better because I'm there. Okay, the people that walk by me are a little bit better for brushing through my energy field. They don't know it, but I feel as though the whole situation, more than ever before, is better for having my energy there to let it shine. Okay, it's just interesting. These little subtle things are starting to make me prick up a little bit. So I'm the only one really there checking the whole scene out, and no one else is really doing that. If I say something to somebody or say something funny, I'll get their attention that way. But generally, you know, it's just interesting. I'm the only one really that looks at everybody. Everybody else doesn't look at it. They don't look at you. They're looking down. They're looking into you know, they're just lost in their small little heads in their small little world. You know, so that's just. Interesting take on that. They look like they're sleepwalkers especially when I'm frisky. You know, they look like sleepwalkers basically. The smartest people I know, Gurdjieff, they say we are essentially sleepwalkers walking around this world, and that's a perfect example of it. And this is the consciousness prisonerness that I'm talking about, although they don't seem to know it. You know, why do me, the person who is closest to understanding that, why am I in the searing pain that I was in? You know, why can't they be pain? But they're not, they're dull pain. You know, they can't, they're just, I can tell they're a bit, they're walking around like they're prisoners, really. And they don't know that, they're not feeling the searing pain that I've been familiar with and the awfulness that my life has been. So there's that. Taking a walk the other day. Okay, I passed 3 people. This isn't always happen this way, but past 3 people. They were all on their iPhones, walking around. They had a dog, and they're all focused down on their iPhones. We're all addicted to this crap, you know, which I'm not. You know, when people say to me, or I hear them say, you know, I couldn't give up my electronic devices for a week, you know, or I gave up and I spent the whole week without one. I literally don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm not married to this stuff. I don't even like it. I have to force myself to open up my computer most of the time. I get up, I unplug my modem at the end of the night before I go to sleep. And when I get up, I'm up 5-6 hours before I even plug that thing back in. I don't need this stuff, but I'm going to tell you, it is really fantastic. It is allowing me to do what I'm doing right now. It has allowed me to learn a lot of stuff that I didn't realize was happening on YouTube. So I know who to listen to. That's because I know who to listen to. But you know, I'm not. You know, hooked on this stuff like everybody else is. I don't like electronic gizmos, never really did. So they're all looking on their phones, you know, and when you go for a walk, there's a lot of information out there you got to pay attention to. The fact that they are on a walk on that screen says a lot. It says a lot about their consciousness state, their consciousness level. And that's all really you need to know in a certain way. Addictions are another thing that tells me that we aren't in a complete state. Okay, we can't be in a complete state. I don't think, this is my prediction, in the fifth dimension, I don't think there's going to be addictions. Okay, people, I don't know, people are going to be doing silly things, but there's not going to be addictions, really, because addiction is a sign of an incomplete consciousness, basically. That you know, this is an incomplete consciousness, and for a while I can get addicted to this and kind of help fill this up in a false way, but in a way that somehow pleases me for the time being. Okay, you know. When I'm walking, you know, I'm noticing the breeze against the subtle breeze against my face, cleaning my aura. I'm looking at a cat, looking up a tree, wondering how I can get at the birds that are up in that tree. I walked by a dove, and he flapped his wings, and he let this feather out, and his feather just kind of hung there. It was all like following me in a while. I go, I wonder if I should take that home. So I stood there, and you know, kind of waited for that feather to fall. And it just hung there. It hung there about 10 feet above my head, and it would not come down. It was kind of following me. It was kind of a weirdest thing. You know, little things like that you interact with when you walk, you know. So I have never, ever taken my phone with me and looked at on a walk. You know, I don't even take it, most of the time I don't even take it anywhere. I take it when I get in my car, because in case the car breaks down, you got a recourse. But you know, that's another example of what I'm talking about. Low consciousness level, a prisoner hypnotized to things, addicted to things. 90% of the things we do don't make any sense and aren't taking us where we want to go. Stuff like that. Quadras. I told you I worked at Quadras in the middle of Silicon Valley. A nice facility, a business conference center, and a cafe. Sometimes I'd go out there. And when we were kind of done, and there'd be people out there, they had gotten their lunches, and they were talking furiously. And, you know, and you could look at that scene, and you could say, look at all these people all interested in what they're doing and talking passionately about what they're doing, and you know, wow, this is really cool. Because there are a lot of heavy hitters came to Quadras, you know, they're big people, and we were right next to Hewlett Packard, but you know, a lot of heavy hitters were in that cafe. Not to mention the conference rooms. Jobs came all the time. But that's not what I saw. I saw people so addicted, so hypnotized by what they were doing, that they didn't even know the quality of the food they were eating. They really didn't. They were so into talking to one another about their business and stuff, important as it was, that everything else didn't exist, really. You know what I mean? Including any sort of idea of a low grade or a high grade consciousness, anything like that. So that's what I saw at Quadras Business Conference Center. Okay, it was really evident to me that these people were hypnotized by their work, and didn't, to the point of exclusionary of all the more important things in that one moment. Okay, that's what it felt like to me. When people get jobs, when people are professionals, when they're a lawyer or a doctor or a businessman or a financier, any of those things, they become those things. They're so entwined with what they do that's what they are. And they talk to lawyers. They talk in lawyeristic ways. They talk to all their friends are lawyers or doctors or whatever it is, and they're become the embodiment of that profession. Okay, now that they're not even human. They're doctors first, lawyers first, financiers first, and human beings second, let alone evolved human beings. And they're living their lives and they're doing critical things, but there's something wrong, there's something missing in that process also. Philosophies, political philosophies, when you're a liberal or a conservative or whatever you are, you become those things to the point of being a robot. You know, when you, I don't really watch news anymore on TV. They're advising against that, and I finally know why. But they're like robots. You know, they talk like robots. They only know what the general line is, and they can repeat it over and over and over and over again, and they're talking past one another. They're not really hearing one another, the left or the right, and they become so hypnotized by their spiel that they really don't, or their philosophy, or they've been indoctrinated into a political ideology, and they no longer see anything outside of that ideology they've been indoctrinated with. Okay, and they speak like robots. They talk like robots. You know what they're going to say. You don't even have to listen to them anymore because you already know what they're going to say because you heard them enough to know that they're not really looking at the thing in a complete holistic sense. They only see what their ideology allows them to see. And they're a prisoner, really, of their ideology, or they're a prisoner of their occupation. Okay, but they're not going through the searing pain that I went through trying to adjust to this world. And there are other reasons, we'll get into that later, why that happened, why my version of this whole thing was a lot worse than anybody's I know. But yet I was the closer to understanding, the closest to understanding that something's wrong here and we need to fix it. So why am I the one that has to have all the searing pain? Okay, interesting enough. Let me see here. Once again, doing this, okay, constant doing this will override this sense. You won't escape it when you die and get to the other side, but it will override this lousy consciousness. People keep busy. We're addicted to doing. People keep busy because when they stop, they start to feel like crap, and they don't want to do that. So they keep constantly doing things. We're addicted to doing things. That's what Yeshua ben Joseph says. We're addicted to doing things. And we have to keep going because we don't like the way we feel when we stop doing the things we're doing, okay? What good is that, as far as I'm concerned? So that's one way out, really. But it's not, it doesn't get you where we want to go, which is a greater step into God consciousness. Like I say, I'm just sick of egoism. Hunter Thomason, I read a little blurb on him the other day. And the same old story. He was really a sweet guy sometimes, but then all of a sudden he was like a monster. How many times have we heard that said about people? How many times have you heard that said about men, especially men, women too, but especially men, that he was so sweet but then all of a sudden he was a monster. That's all ego. Okay, that's all ego bullshit. You're bouncing between one and the other, and you have no real control over either one. That's a person in prison in their ego. And I'm so tired of that story, save it. I don't want to hear about that story anymore. That he was such a good person, but then all of a sudden he could get really, and it's almost every story you hear is exactly like that. Who wants that anymore? Okay, that's low grade consciousness. That's men, prisoners of their ego mind, operating and hypnotized to this 3D illusion and creating all these delusions about as a form of reality. That's what's telling me that we're on the right track of things right now. Okay, so that's we're further discussing, me and you, the ideas I'm presenting and seeing if they work or seem to apply to the outer world. And I'm telling you they do. It's just a matter of degrees, okay? And it's a matter of being able to kid yourself through doing this, through creative doing this, and as wonderful as it is, it really is wonderful. And we all should be doing things. I've been a little bit lax in doing things, frankly, but there's nothing wrong with getting out there and doing things. But when it prevents you, when it holds you in that mind state, and prevents you from seeing a better way, or principally seeing the things that you're going to see when you get to the other side and you get into your review and you look back and you're going to be horrified at some of the things you did, and you're going to see then that whole doing this was a way of holding away the fact that you're in a low grade consciousness that isn't acceptable and it is intolerable. Okay, so then this is, let me end it right here. Try to get a decent time frame on this. I cannot get that time downward. Everything's 25 minutes no matter what I do. And I know people don't watch because of that. Plus, people don't watch it anyway. But I should start advertising or something like that. I feel I've got to advertise. Okay, let's hold it right there. So this is a further look then at as we cock our heads up, put our glasses on, and we take a look around as we go forward here, and we see if what I'm saying does apply to the outer world, and that's what this is all about. Okay, okay, that's it. I am Jeff Africa. I'm a citizen of Earth, loyal patriot of the United States of America, and I am not afraid. And these four I've chosen: Mother Earth, Jeshua ben Joseph, Paramahansa Yogananda, and God herself. These four have my back. These four cut my check. These four will see this through. So you can see once and for all that there's a much, much better form of consciousness out there. And we're going to get to it. We're going to capture it. Okay, we're going to make this. Okay, ever onward, no doubts. And the game is afoot. Thank you very, very much. Okay, I'm going now.